Welcome back to the 21 Boom Guided Meditation. This is Coach Zach Feeney. I will be your guide for today. Take a few moments to imagine this scene as clearly as you can. You are feeling down because you've just had a quarrel with a colleague at work. Shortly afterward, you see another colleague in the hall and he or she rushes off quickly, saying he or she can't stop. What thoughts would go through your mind? You could pause here if you need to do this. And now imagine this scene. You are feeling happy because you and a work colleague have just been praised for good work. Shortly afterward, you see another colleague in the hall and he or she rushes off quickly, saying he or she can't stop. Now, what would go through your mind in this situation? And then look back over what your thoughts have been. It's helpful to write these down too, in response to these two scenarios. And make a note of anything that strikes you about your thoughts in the two situations. Our interpretations of events reflect what we bring to them as much as or more than what is actually there. Thoughts are not facts, even the ones that say they are. Feelings give birth to related thinking patterns. When thoughts and moods mesh, thoughts can be very compelling and hard to see as thoughts. So I have three ways to practice viewing thoughts as mental events that I'll present to you here. When you become aware that your attention has drifted away from your intended focus, like your breath, your body, or sounds, etc., pause long enough to recognize any thoughts, images, or memories that are around. Then say thinking to yourself very quietly as a reminder to see these thoughts, and as gently and kindly as you can, return the attention to your intended focus of breath, body, sound, etc. The second is to make thoughts themselves the primary focus of your attention. Just as with sounds, you focus your awareness on whatever sounds arise, noticing them arise, develop, and pass away. So now, as best you can, you bring awareness to thoughts that arise in your mind in just the same way. Images or metaphors can help. You might bring awareness to thoughts as if they were projected on the screen at the movie theater. You sit watching the screen, waiting for a thought or image to arise. When it does, you pay attention to it as long as it is there on the screen, and then you let it go as it passes away. As if they come onto an empty stage and exit through the opposite lane. As if the mind is a vast, spacious sky and thoughts are clouds or birds passing through the sky. As if thoughts are leaves moving on a stream carried by the current. To begin with, aim to practice with thoughts as the main object of attention for no more than 3 or 4 minutes at a time. No one finds it easy to attend directly to thoughts in this way. Feel free to explore other images or metaphors or none at all. And the third option, when you notice that thoughts have a strong emotional charge or that they seem to be intrusive or persistent, you might remember that emotions are packages of body sensations, feelings, and related thoughts. Briefly acknowledge the thoughts as thoughts, then drop down below the thoughts to explore in the body the felt sense of the emotion that gave birth to the thoughts. Bring awareness right up to and into the region of the body where these sensations are most intense, just as you did in working with difficulties last week. We do not need to fight with thoughts or struggle against them or judge them. Rather, we can simply choose not to follow the thoughts once we are aware that they have arisen. When we lose ourselves in thought, identification is strong. Thought sweeps the mind and carries it away, and in a very short time, we can be carried far indeed. We hop on a train of association, not knowing that we have done so, and certainly not knowing the destination. Somewhere down the line, we may wake up and realize that we have been thinking, that we have been taken for a ride. And when we step down from the train, it may be in a very different mental environment than where we jumped aboard. As an exercise, you might close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting in a movie theater watching an empty screen. Simply wait for thoughts to arise. What exactly are they? What happens to them? Thoughts are like magic displays, which seem real when we are lost in them, but then vanish upon inspection. But what about the strong thoughts that affect us? We are watching, watching, watching. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, we're gone, lost in a thought. What is that about? What are the mind states or the particular kinds of thoughts that catch us again and again, so that we forget that they are just empty phenomena passing by? The kinds of thoughts we have and their impact on our lives depend on our understanding of things. If we are in the clear, powerful space of just seeing thoughts arise and pass, then it does not really matter what kind of thinking appears in the mind. We can see our thoughts as the passing show that they are. From thoughts come actions. From actions come all sorts of consequences. In which thoughts will we invest? Our great task is to see them clearly so that we can choose which ones to act on and which simply to let be. Mindfulness invites us to see thoughts as part of a whole package. We focus directly on the feeling that gives birth to the thoughts rather than getting tangled in thoughts themselves. Mindfully, gently, we investigate, what am I feeling in this moment? When emotion-related thoughts are around, acknowledge the thoughts, then drop down into the body to bring awareness to the sensations and feelings that gave birth to the thoughts. As always, kindness is the foundation of skillful practice. Kindness to your thoughts means gently reminding yourself that thoughts are not the enemy, allowing them to be here, holding them in a friendly, interested awareness. Kindness to yourself means allowing yourself to be just as you already are in this moment. When you've watched your mind a great deal and seen the same old thoughts come up again and again, you will eventually find you don't rise to the bait anymore. Naming your familiar thought patterns can help you recognize them when they start up. It allows you to say, I know this program. This is my I can't stand my boss program, or my nobody recognizes how hard I work program. The recognition of thought patterns for what they are creates space between you and them. Eventually, you may see these familiar patterns so clearly that they will no longer press your buttons. See if you can identify your own top 10 unhelpful thought patterns or programs, and keep a record of these unusual suspects. It's fine to make this a continuing project extending over the next few weeks, and you don't have to find 10. It is amazing to observe how much power we give unknowingly to uninvited thoughts. Do this, say that, remember, plan, obsess, judge. They have the potential to drive us quite crazy, and they often do. When thoughts threaten to overwhelm, taking a breathing space, no matter how briefly, is always the first step. For a breathing space to utilize this week, ways to see thoughts differently. Simply watch the thoughts come and go in the field of awareness without feeling you have to follow them. Remind yourself to view the negative thoughts as mental events rather than facts. You can write your thoughts down on paper. This helps you see them in a way that is less emotional and overwhelming. The pause between having the thoughts and writing it down provides an opportunity to take a wider perspective. See if you recognize the thinking pattern as one of your top 10 unhelpful thoughts. Focus with kindness and compassion on the feelings that may be giving birth to the thoughts, asking yourself, what feelings are here now? How am I experiencing these feelings in the body? In all difficult situations, the first step is always to take a basic breathing space. Each door offers a different possibility for your next step: re-entry, body, and thoughts. Your actions will be most effective if you can respond as early as possible to signs that your mood is worsening. Often other people may be aware of changes long before you register them yourself. If it feels comfortable, include someone you trust who knows you well and whom you see often in a collaborative effort to notice and then to respond rather than to react to these signs. What triggers emotional distress or depression for you? Triggers can be external things that happen to you or internal, like thoughts, feelings, memories, and concerns. Consider small triggers as well as large ones. Sometimes something that is quite trivial can spark a downward mood spiral. What sorts of thoughts run through your mind when you first feel your mood dropping or your feelings running out of control? What other emotions do you notice as well? And what happens in your body? What do you do or feel like doing? What old habits of thinking or behavior might unwittingly keep you stuck in painful moods, like ruminating, trying to suppress or turn away from painful thoughts and feelings, struggling with them instead of allowing and exploring them? What in the past has prevented you from noticing and attending to warning signs and signals? Pushing away, denial, distraction, a sense of hopelessness, using alcohol, arguments, blaming family members or colleagues. How might you include friends and family members in your early warning system? It's quite likely that thinking back to the past in this way has reawakened some sad feelings right now. If this is true for you, now would be a good time to take a 3-minute breathing space. It is remarkable how liberating it feels to be able to see that your thoughts are just thoughts and not you or reality. For instance, if you have the thought that you must get a certain number of things done today and you don't recognize it as a thought, but act as if it's the truth, then you have created in that moment a reality in which you really believe that those things must all be done today. Someone someone I know about who'd had a heart attack and wanted to prevent another one came to a dramatic realization of this one night when he found himself washing his car at 10 o'clock at night and with the floodlights on in the driveway. It struck him that he didn't have to be doing this. It was just the inevitable result of a whole day spent trying to fit everything in that he thought needed doing today. As he saw what he was doing to himself, he also saw that he had been unable to question the truth of his original conviction that everything had to get done today, because he was already so completely caught up in believing it. If you find yourself behaving in similar ways, it is likely that you will also feel driven, tense, and anxious without even knowing why, just as this individual did. So if you thought of how much you have to get done today comes up while you are meditating, you will have to be very attentive to it as a thought, or you may be up and doing things before you know it, without any awareness that you decided to stop sitting simply because a thought came through your mind. On the other hand, when such a thought comes up, if you are able to step back from it and see it clearly, you will be able to prioritize things and make sensible decisions about what really does need doing. You will know when to call it quits during the day. So the simple act of recognizing your thoughts as thoughts can free you from the distorted reality they often create and allow for more clear-sightedness and a greater sense of manageability in your life. This liberation from the tyranny of the thinking mind comes directly out of the meditation practice itself. When we spend some time each day in a state of non-doing, observing the flow of the breath and the activity of our mind and body without getting caught up in that activity, we are cultivating calmness and mindfulness hand in hand. As the mind develops stability and is less caught up in the content of thinking, we strengthen the mind's ability to concentrate and to be calm. And if each time we recognize a thought as a thought when it arises and register its content and discern the strength of its hold on us and the accuracy of its content, then each time we let go of it and come back to our breathing and a sense of our body, we are strengthening mindfulness. We come to know ourselves better and become more accepting of ourselves, not as we would like to be, but as we actually are.